Welcome to another session of Bitwarden Brilliance. So this is our technically focused deep dives into a number of topics related to running Bitwarden and integrating it into your company's processes to keep everything that you do online that much more secure. So today, we're going to be covering employee onboarding and succession. So this covers a variety of different topics around getting people into using Bitwarden at work, using the enterprise policies to make sure that all of that activity is secure, and transferring ownership of things between teams, between people, all those sorts of things. So on our agenda today, we're just going to do a quick overview of Bitwarden. I have left overview of self-hosting in the slides by accident. We are not doing that today, but we will be talking about the enterprise policies that come with a Bitwarden enterprise plan, the methods that we have for onboarding new users, as well as employee succession, and then talk about a few items on the product roadmap that we have coming soon for these sorts of tasks in Bitwarden. The second one, hello, thanks for installing Twitch and joining us today, appreciate it. I've got a couple of my colleagues in the chat here today, so Jake and Tony from the integration team as well are here to hang out with us and answer any questions you have. So as we go through these topics, feel free to drop any questions into the chat. We're happy to take a deeper dive on anything, clarify any questions that come up. So yeah, feel free to jump in there. Hello, Elmar. So what is Bitwarden? So Bitwarden is a password management solution built for community and the enterprise. Bitwarden is secured with zero-knowledge end-to-end encryption. All of the Bitwarden clients and the administrative features are all very easy to use. That is a high priority for us. Password manager is only as secure as it is usable for people from all levels of experience. So we really prioritize that easy to use aspect. We're also making sure that we're as transparent as possible. That starts with the fact that Bitwarden is open source. You can go in there and see exactly how we are doing all of these tasks in the code by looking at our GitHub repos. But we are also transparent with the security assessments we've undergone. You can check out our compliance page just to get that extra layer of security through the compliance documents and the scans that we do regularly. We do have flexible deployment options. Like the last slide said, we do have a self-hosted edition of Bitwarden as well as our cloud model. So we're going to be looking at a self-hosted organization or a cloud-hosted organization today because self-hosted was the topic of a couple of other Brilliance sessions in the past. You can go back bitwarden.com/events and take a look at some of the details there. All of those Bitwarden clients, the desktop clients, the browser extension clients, the mobile clients, the command line, and the web vault are synchronizing your data because the password manager is also only as good as you are able to access it. So making sure you have the same data available on all your devices, and then easy sharing options to make sure that when you do have a password that multiple team members need to access, you can securely and easily share that information. We're very customer and community centric. Any feedback that you have about specifically these onboarding and succession topics or anything else in Bitwarden, like I said, feel free to put that in the chat today or take a look at our community forum, community.bitwarden.com, our subreddit. Great conversations going on there all the time. And of course, Bitwarden is available wherever you are. That comes into play in particular with offline access. So any of the clients, if you lose internet, if we lose internet, you will still be able to access your passwords. That's really important. So to kick things off today, I just want to bring up the topic of Bitwarden user account. So taking that, that last slide, how is all of this information kind of separated out? Because we're talking about employee onboarding and succession, I want to make sure that we are upfront about exactly what these topics mean when it comes to your individual Bitwarden account. So each Bitwarden account has a unique encryption key. And management of and data in Bitwarden user accounts cannot be shared across the accounts outside of an organization. So a Bitwarden user account is going to have access to one or more vaults. Usually they will have an individual vault. We'll take a look at that in the demo where it's got the passwords that you're not sharing with anyone. Maybe it is a personal password that you would never want to share with anyone else. Maybe it's a work password, but only you need access to that specific work account. Bitwarden user accounts can also have access to any organization vaults. So a very common scenario is to have a personal and a work Bitwarden account. Both of those accounts will have separate individual vaults. So those are cryptographically separate. Those accounts do not share data between each other. Your personal Bitwarden account on your personal email address and your work Bitwarden account on your work email address don't share data. That personal account might have a free organization, or you might be using Families for Enterprise. If you are in an enterprise organization, you can get a Bitwarden Families organization for free. And then that work account may be a member of an enterprise or teams organization. The topics that we're going to be covering today, the enterprise policies, onboarding, and succession, those are only going to be impacting your work Bitwarden account. So when we get to the point where we're talking about, removing data and stuff, we're not talking about your personal Bitwarden account. That is going to be separate and not be impacted by these policies. So Darth Chalash has a question on this topic. I've been using Bitwarden for years, private use. Thank you. We really appreciate that. But I have trouble deciding if I want to use the same account for work as well or a different one, mostly because of work from home, where it's practical to have both private and work passwords. So yeah, that's exactly what we're talking about here. So we recommend that you create a Bitwarden account on a personal email address for the passwords that are personal to you. They're not work related. And work account passwords will go on a work email address and join a enterprise organization. Two of our clients today, and coming soon, all of our clients will have a user account switcher. So currently in the mobile application and in the desktop app, you can be signed into more than one Bitwarden account at a time and switch between them. Darth, you will have your current Bitwarden account signed in, and then for a work account, create a separate Bitwarden account so that when you or one of your colleagues who's managing a enterprise organization for your work, they can invite you to that enterprise organization, and these onboarding succession topics will apply to just that work account. So, I see that my colleagues are picking up a couple of those other chat messages. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next slide here. We're going to cover all of this in the demo. This is probably the longest Brilliance session that we're going to spend in the slides, but just to make sure that people don't get worried about too many slides here, we are going to be looking at all these right in the Bitwarden interface as well. So enterprise policies allow an organization administrator to control a variety of different things about that Bitwarden organization. So you can ensure the security of the user accounts themselves. So again, those work email addresses with the master password and single sign-on authentication policies. You can protect the vault data itself with two-step login to make sure that those user accounts are being logged into by the right person, setting the password generator policy to make sure that that vault data is passwords that are secure for external resources, and the vault timeout policy to make sure that someone doesn't walk away from their desk and leave their vault open. And then you can control access to that enterprise organization with the single organization policy, the personal ownership policy, and the master password reset policy. So let's talk about the various different ways you can onboard users to a Bitwarden organization. So the quickest and simplest way to onboard someone is via an email invitation. So when you send an email invitation to join an enterprise organization, this will allow someone to either log into an existing Bitwarden account. If you have like a Bitwarden free account on your work email address, you can log into that to join the organization, or you can create a new account if you don't yet have a Bitwarden account on your work email address. This is probably if you are going to be setting up a POC, if you want to stand up a trial of the enterprise organization, you'll probably get those first couple of folks in there via email, maybe make them administrators, and then move on to some of these more automated methods. So the next onboarding method we'll be doing in the demo is login with SSO. So this allows you to have ongoing control over the authentication by setting conditional access policies on your IDP. So this is things like requiring multi-factor or requiring users be behind a VPN or in a certain geographic region. You set all of those policies on your IDP, and then users will not be able to access the Bitwarden Vault data until they tick all of those boxes in your conditional access policies. But login with SSO is an onboarding method as well because it supports just-in-time provisioning. So if you have allowed a user to access the enterprise application, the IDP itself, they can provision a Bitwarden account for themselves just by going through SSO. The next onboarding method we have is the Bitwarden Directory Connector. The Directory Connector automates sending invite emails based on a variety of different settings that you can set. We'll take a look in the demo. It will also associate users with groups. So if you've got a source directory, you will be able to specify here are where to find the users that I want in Bitwarden, and here's where I want to find the groups. It'll send invites to those users, it'll create those groups, and then associate users with those groups based on the membership in the source directory. And then if you have a really custom workflow, Bitwarden has a public API. This allows you to have a custom workflow where you have business logic, maybe you're using ServiceNow, people have to requisition a Bitwarden account, and you want to reach out to the Bitwarden API to automate those invite emails. You can also have complex other workflows to automatically modify permissions, groups, collections, access, all that sort of thing. So the next topic that we'll cover in the demo is going to be employee succession. So when you remove a user from the organization, it removes their access to all of the organization vault data. It removes them from the organization, but it retains their individual vault. So what that means is the user still has a Bitwarden account. It gets downgraded to the free tier, and they lose all access to the shared data, but they keep their individual vault. If you have control of that user's email address, if it's someone who is transitioning out of the company, you can use the delete account page to have a link sent to that email address to completely delete that account. That will purge all of the individual vault data and remove the user from the organization. That's a complete wipe. The directory connector can also automatically remove users from the organization. So that first bullet point, if they're suspended in the source directory. So if you go into, say, Active Directory and you disable a user, it will remove them from the organization automatically. But there's an even more powerful option utilizing the master password reset policy for employee succession. So this can be used for administrative account takeover. The master password reset policy is available for an administrator to reset a user's Bitwarden master password for their work account only. So just that Bitwarden password on their work email address. And if it's someone who's just forgotten their password, maybe use Bitwarden Send to securely send them that temporary password. But if it is an employee succession workflow, you as the administrator would log in as that user, and then you can use the Move to Organization feature to audit their individual vault for any passwords that are in there that need to be transferred to someone else. Finally here, before we get into the demo, let's talk a little bit about the product roadmap. Our 2022 product roadmap is available on our community forum at onboarding.bitwarden.com, and it highlights everything that is a research and development priority for the second half of 2022 for us. So there are a couple of related items that are on that roadmap for these research and development priorities that are related to employee onboarding and succession. Specifically, those are SCIM provisioning, admin controls for users, and account deprovisioning. And then there are a couple of future initiatives that we will be working on past these research and development priorities for onboarding optimizations and SSO enhancements. So to keep up to date on those, follow our release notes. We've got a mailing list so that you can get all of the latest updates as we push out these new features, and those community posts on the roadmap for more info on those. So with that, let's hop out of the slides and let's take a look at some of these workflows. So over here in this tab, I have a Bitwarden organization on cloud. I have my user set up here, and I have a couple of items here that are tagged me. These are in my individual vault. These are those work passwords that are on my work account that only I have access to by default. Like I mentioned earlier, none of these onboarding and offboarding workflows are going to apply to your personal account. If you set up free Bitwarden families, all of that data is going to remain intact. What we're going to be working on today is work-related items and controlling employee access to those resources. Those resources are over here in the organization. So my organization is called CS Integration Engineer. And then I have a number of collections here. These collections are basically shared folders, and they're holding my vault items. So if we hop over here to the enterprise policies, like we talked about in the slides, a number of these different policies control different aspects of the user onboarding and succession workflows. So in particular, I have a single sign-on integration, and I don't have anyone in my organization. So let's walk through inviting someone to my organization. I am going to go here, and I'm going to grab the email address of one of my users, and I'm going to use the invite user. So again, this is the most basic workflow. I'm going to invite this user. I'm going to leave them as a user type. I'm not going to set any of their collections at this point. Right now, I just want them to create a Bitwarden account. What I'm going to do later is automate assigning their access. So for now, I'm just going to go ahead and send that invite. I have that person's Gmail open off screen here. So I'm going to grab that user's invitation once it comes through, and I'm going to bring them into Bitwarden so that we can see what that workflow looks like. So in another screen here, I am accepting that invitation. I'll go ahead and pull that over so that we can see what that looks like. So I am now Rex Mosley over here, accepting the invitation to join the organization. So I'm going to go ahead and create my account. I'm going to create a super secure master password, and I'm going to accept that invitation. Excellent. So my account's been created. I can go ahead and log into it, prove that I'm a human. And now I've accepted the invitation. Now over here, if I refresh this, now as the administrator, I can confirm this user. So this confirmation step provides a very useful zero trust model to make sure that the person that accepted the invite is the person who you intended to invite. So it's providing a fingerprint phrase. So for that, I can go over here to the user account. I can go to my settings, and I can see that the fingerprint phrase here matches the fingerprint phrase here. And I can go ahead and confirm that user. You can disable those prompts if that zero trust model is not relevant to your operating environment, but it's not recommended. So I'm going to go ahead and confirm that user. I'm going to pull up Rex's account again. I'm going to go over here, refresh the page, find where I put that password, and unlock the vault again. And there. So now I'm in the organization. I don't have access to anything yet, but that's kind of what I expected at this point. So that's that first user onboarding step. Now I have another user in my tab list over here. Where'd they go? All right. Srider, Selena Ryder. So we're going to onboard Selena using the login with SSO workflow. So Selena is not yet present in the organization. They don't have an invitation present, but Selena knows how to log in to Bitwarden using SSO. So Selena has been told that the organization identifier is Bitwarden Jordan. We're going to set up this account using SSO. Oh, okay. So that was my mistake. I have another incognito window open, so we didn't get to see that. So I'm going to go ahead and create this account and then delete it again because I have the wrong SSO user here. That's okay. So see, we've now onboarded a different user. Technically, everything worked fine, but I wanted to see Selena. So I'm just going to delete my account real quick. I'm going to close out of my other incognito window here. Yes, hang on 1 second. Just going to take a screenshot of my user list so that I remember who's who. All right, close out of the incognito window. We'll try that one more time. All right, so we are onboarding Selena. What happened in the background there is I was already logged in as another user, so I didn't get to see my login with SSO prompt because I was already logged in. Let me grab that screenshot I took just so I can remember Selena's email address. It is Srider. Okay, so Selena is logging in with their IDP credentials. In this case, we're using Google. Now Selena is setting their master password. Okay, so like with the email workflow, Selena has a work Bitwarden account, but over here we will see that Selena has accepted. And again, we can go through that confirmation step. And then back to, let's see, where did I just put that window? Find it if I open a new one. Nope. False, false, false. I've lost Selena's window. Much like with the last workflow, Selena is going to be able to refresh and see, aha, found it. Okay, too many windows open. There, now Selena is in the organization. Similarly, Selena does not have any access to any collections yet because we haven't synchronized anyone's groups. So Selena has come in by default as a user type. So that's how the just-in-time provisioning works. People are always created as users, and they don't by default get access to any collections. Now, let's take a look at the directory connector. So the directory connector comes in two flavors. This is the GUI version. I like to call it the setup wizard. Directory connector supports a variety of different source directories, so Active Directory or LDAP, Azure AD, G Suite, Google Workspace, which is what we're using right now, Okta, and OneLogin. I've already configured the directory connector with my Google authentication. I am removing disabled users during sync, and then I'm just going to sync everyone. The other flavor that directory connector comes in is the CLI version. So they share a configuration file. So I can use this setup wizard on my workstation and then copy that data.json file to a server and run the CLI as a scheduled task or cron, depending on which operating system you prefer, to do the synchronization on an ongoing basis. So if I go ahead and run a test, it's going to find all of the people in my Google Workspace. I'm going to go ahead and do a sync now. And what this is going to do is it's going to send invitations to anyone who isn't already in the organization, and it's going to synchronize groups. It's also going to go in here and add people to groups that were not already in the group. So a whole bunch of invites have just gone out, and we should see some groups over here. We should see some users in those groups. So we've got my account. We've got let's see, what did I name this person? Lulu Whittington here is also in the help desk group, as well as Zane Daly. And then what we can do is we can edit this group to provide collections. So this help desk group, I want them to have the technical support, I want them to have all teams, and I want them to have sales demos, but read-only mode. So this group of people will have access to all of these different collections with as soon as they log in. This external ID here, this came from Directory Connector. It is different for each different source directory. Google uses this confusing string. Azure AD uses a GUID, that sort of thing, so that you can know if you have multiple groups named help desk, exactly which people this applies to. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. I want the engineering team to have a whole bunch of stuff. Sales demos, email tools. Let's go ahead and give them hide passwords level access to that. And the marketing team, we're going to do all teams. We're going to do all of the marketing collections. And we're also going to give them email tools. So all of that clicking around that I just did is stuff that we can do with that last onboarding bullet point, which is the API. So over here, I've got the documentation for the API here. We can do things like post new members, so we can create a new member. We can update a group. So that's what we were just clicking through. So if you get really deep into these workflows, you can script a lot of this using the API. So let's go back and check on who is this Rex. Rex should now have access to a bunch of different collections. We go ahead and refresh Rex here and unlock. Rex now has access to all of these collections that we gave to the marketing group. So let's move on and talk about some of the employee succession. So let's take Rex, for example. If we want Rex to be removed, we have those couple of different options that we talked about on the employee succession. So the first one is to simply remove them from the organization. Before I do that, I'm going to find Rex here, and I'm just going to create an item in his individual vault. So we'll give Rex something in his individual vault there. He's got that individual vault item. And for Rex, for the offboarding, we are just going to remove Rex from the organization. And there we can see in the background, the vault refreshed, and Rex has lost access to all of the organization items, but retained Rex's individual vault item there. Now, I am going to, let's see, I think I have one of these people in a tab here. So let's find, that person has been confirmed. Zane. All right, let's do Zane. I think Zane is not yet accepted. So we're going to walk through with Zane and get Zane to join the organization real quick. Because I need enough folks in the organization to be able to demonstrate all of the procedures for succession. Okay. Zane is in the organization. Go ahead and confirm Zane. And we're going to give Zane a personal vault item. And you can see as soon as I confirmed Zane, unlike with the previous join that we did, Zane already has collections because we already ran the synchronization from Directory Connector. So Zane has access to a couple of different organization items and a personal item. So we are going to get rid of Zane's account here using the delete account page. So for Zane, let's say that we have already forwarded Zane's email to an administrator so that the administrator can capture this email coming in here. So this is the delete account method to completely purge all of the vault data. So this is just going to delete the account, the personal account, the individual vault data will go away, the association with the organization will go away. Zane has been removed and logged out. And then over here in people, Zane is not in the account anymore. So the last one we are going to do with Srider, who I believe is this one, right? All right. Let's get Srider a personal vault item. Okay. Make this one a little bit easier for me to find next time by moving it slightly off screen. All right. So we are going to set a new master password for Srider. Need to pop open the generator over here in another window to get a new password for them. Okay, so as the administrator, I am using the master password reset policy here to set a new password for Srider. What happened is over here in their Gmail, they did get a notification that their master password was changed. So, whoa, there we go. So we do notify users whenever an administrator has changed their master password. As you can see, the master password is not in there. It is just noted to them. And then that has been logged in the event logs. You can see a whole lot of other stuff being logged in the event logs as we go through this demo as well. So with that changed, we're going to hop over here and we can see that Srider has been logged out. So because we reset Srider's master password, it did log them out of any sessions they were logged into. Now, I, as the administrator, can go ahead and log into that account. Oh, through SSO, of course. And then we do have to set a new master password because all master password resets are temporary. Go through the SSO one more time. Since that lockout happened in the background, this next part, if auditing an individual vault is relevant to your workflow, this can take place at any time. Usually what I recommend is first reset the password on the IDP side, so reset their Google password to make sure that they can't enroll any new devices in Bitwarden, and then immediately thereafter do the master password reset in Bitwarden so that, as we saw on this screen, they get logged out of any of their existing sessions. Now, I, as the administrator, can, like I mentioned, whenever it comes up in my offboarding procedure, go in and audit the individual vault items. So we can use this move to organization feature to take anything that was in their individual vault, and let's say this is a social media login that someone else on the marketing team is going to need. Previously, Srider was the person managing it, but we're going to go ahead and share that with the marketing team. That got moved to the organization. So for these sorts of succession workflows, it's generally helpful to have one or more collections defined that are specifically offboarding collections. So just repositories for any data that needs to be transitioned from someone's individual vault. What you can do is you can set someone who is, for example, the marketing department leader. You can give them the manager permission here in the organization so that they have the ability to create new collections if they want, as well as edit existing collections. And so when that person logs in and they see that personal vault item, they can say, well, you know, that's not a social media login. That's one of our swag vendors, something like that. Move things around, as well as control who has access to those collections. So I will take a moment here and catch up on what's going on the Twitch stream. I see it has been very active. Thank you, everyone, for participating, and thanks to my colleagues, Tony and Jake, for going through and answering everyone's questions. Really appreciate all of the engagement. Keep it coming. Let's see what we got here. So we've got some topics about the UI, which, like Tony said, we're definitely always open to suggestions. We've got a couple of questions about where to run the Bitwarden self-hosted. Some good stuff. Thanks for asking those questions in the chat, and keep them coming. But at this point, that covers most of the material that I had planned for us today. So if there are any other questions, feel free to get those into the chat. I hope this has been helpful in showing off some of the features and different abilities that Bitwarden has to manage who has access to what and how to give them that access as easily as possible. So Darth, being able to access two vaults on the same PC without logging out, that is a great point. So in the background here, I'm just going to lock my production vault and bring over the desktop client. So in the desktop client and the mobile application, you are able to be logged into more than one Bitwarden account at a time. So over here in the desktop client, and we're rolling this out to the rest of the clients as well in the near future. You can see I've got this drop-down list where I can add new Bitwarden accounts, and I already have a couple of other accounts here. So this account is locked, but if I go ahead and unlock it with my master password, I can be logged in, and then I can switch to a different account whose password I don't have on me at the moment. But if I unlocked it here, I would be able to switch between these accounts very easily. So in the browser extension, I would recommend, until we get that feature rolled out, using profiles in your browser to have separate Bitwarden accounts logged in, but we will be rolling out this account switcher that is currently in the desktop and the mobile client to all of these clients in the near future. So definitely take a look at that. It does support being logged into multiple cloud and self-hosted accounts at the same time. So when you add an account, you can specify a self-hosted server URL, or you can just leave that blank if you want to log into a cloud account.